and welcome to the In-Game Boss Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy, a.k.a. your retro activist, a.k.a. your In-Game Boss, a.k.a. your retro founder, because we are going to take it back on this special episode. But joining me, literally beside me, in a very long time, this is special, Jaron.
A.k.a. the Evil of Aku, a.k.a. the Grumpy Bear, the grumpiest of bears, especially recently. A.k.a. I need to possibly get a new SSD.
Oh.
I mean, if I'm going to have to reseed it, I might as well just get a bigger one and just...
Shoot, shout out to Jaron, but he's on standby until I get the rest of my parts to start building my computer.
Yeah, I'm still entering those new egg shuffles. It's like, oh, it'd be nice to get that 3060 for MSRP, like $300 and something. That'd be nice. Oh, that would be nice. Nope, I didn't win. Okay.
Yeah, right?
It's like, oh, latest shipment. Oh, they're all gone. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because my plan was to get this about a year ago now, but just all I could do is save money.
Yeah, I mean, by the time you're ready, by the time things are settled, you might just say screw it and get a 4000 series NVIDIA card next year.
Might as well, right?
Yeah, hey, might as well go latest and greatest. Then you're good.
Yeah, for a couple of years, because I think my computer now is over 10 years old now, man.
But it's still running stuff.
I know, right? So I'm happy for it. It's doing a good job. But sooner or later, it's going to say, you need to let me go. I need to be that like backup computer now. Like if stuff doesn't work out.
I mean, it could at the very least that could make a hell of a rendering or a stream capture.
That's true. Yeah. That's very true. And if this is your first time watching our show, thank you so much. And we are live. But if you don't watch us live, remember we air this on Tuesdays on bi-weekly, where I do a little touch up in prettiness to put some video clips in there. Make you feel welcome. Yeah, make you feel welcome. And if you are live, leave a comment. Tell us to come talk to us. We'll talk about a bunch of stuff. Now, if you are living in Oklahoma, you will probably notice that the weather is still pretty nice in October. Most of the time, this is where the cold front really comes. Now, in the morning, it has been very cold.
I can leave the door open.
Yeah.
I can leave the door open and not run the AC and not have to worry about letting the dogs out. So, yeah. October's win-win for me.
Yeah. So, I'm wondering if we are going to get the curse on Halloween Day. It's going to be like that's where like, boom, it's just going to be cold all day. Because it's always cold on Halloween in Oklahoma.
Sucks for the kids who have to trick-or-treat Sunday.
Man, I don't think kids trick-or-treat in my apartment complex. Do they trick-or-treat in your neighborhood?
Yes. In fact, it was slow last year, obviously. By slow, I mean I could count on two hands how many kids came by. It was a lot better the year before, and it's a good amount. We easily run through about 3-4 bags, like the full bags of candy.
If you know that Halloween was getting really popular again in your neighborhood, as you said, like it was big last year for you or decent, would you be a person that decorate your house Halloween wise?
This will be the second year that we haven't. Normally we do.
Okay.
But this will be the second year that we haven't. I think we'll be more likely to next year, assuming things settle down. I'll be getting the Halloween decorations out of the attic at the start of October. And honestly, I mean, the neighbor couple houses down from me got a huge, giant spider web that covers like this part archway, but covers like for where you walk to the door, and you got to walk under, and then there's a big spider attached to it that's like hanging down. That you gotta
wow!
He goes ham every year, and you know what? I give big ups to him. Not my bag, but you go, man.
Yeah,
you go.
This is his only year to do stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder if is he the same way with Christmas? Is he pretty big on the Christmas front that you notice?
He puts up lights and things like that, like nice little light show. I've yet, and I will never put up Christmas lights around my house because I'm not getting up on a ladder and hanging.
Yeah.
The hell with that. No, I'll put up a Happy Holidays, put up a wooden Christmas tree in the garden where it's like, oh yeah, Christmas, we observe it, and put up the artificial tree that I've had for going on 10 years.
Jeez.
Yeah. I like I was telling you before, Christmas, like the holidays, don't hit as hard as they used to for me. Like my mom used to go all out. She demanded and insisted real tree. She'd put up the tinsel. She put up have my dad put up the lights. And he's like, oh God, all right, these lights, decorations, everything. Everything was to the nines. Like every time I went over to the house, or even when I was growing up there, it smelled like Christmas for a month straight, which was good memories, But yeah, it's things change.
Okay,
things change.
Right on.
What about you?
No, our family does none of that. Like not outside.
Not put a wreath.
No. Well, my mom will do a wreath, but she doesn't do anything outside decorating. It's more like she does more decorating inside. So
yeah.
So giant tree, stockings on the the fireplace. She loves all her Christmas cards, so she'll have them all over the cabinets and everything like that. So yeah, my mom is more of a Christmas person than more Halloween.
My mom was. I think she was like 60% Halloween. Well, no, I don't know. She went hard on both.
Okay.
Like hard. Oh, so many stories. I'll tell you some stories later. But yeah, my mom had the Halloween and the Christmas spirit.
So you would think we're going to do a Halloween special, but we're not. We're actually going to do a throwback episode. And a throwback actually is the throwback but to recent news.
Yeah.
In our segment that we like to do called Baby Come Back.
Konami come back.
Konami come back. Any kind of fool can't see.
You were wrong, and Contra can't live without you.
And that's brought to you by up, down, left, right, A, B, press start. So, and goodness. Select.
I will say, if you came for Halloween, you better go watch Hocus Pocus. But Konami.
Yeah, Konami. So everybody know who Konami is. Well, if you are new to video games, you might not know Konami because Konami hasn't done anything in a very, very long time.
They haven't made noise in a while.
Yeah, very, very long time. But for people our age, or people that were born in the early 90s or early 80s, Konami was a household name along with Capcom.
Yeah, they were the kings of the 8 and 16-bit, and to a lesser degree, the 32-bit era.
Yeah, with the Capcom, they were the rivals. Like, they owned the third party front. Like, if you didn't have one of those people on your platform, you were done. And that was before Square kind of coming to make. Square was around, but they weren't that big yet on the third party front until in the 16, Super Nintendo. Yeah, until the Super Nintendo. You see
but that's the kicker. Konami and Capcom, they couldn't do anything but for Nintendo until the 16-bit era because of Nintendo's very strict, like, if you publish for us, you publish only for Nintendo was straight Mafia style.
Yeah, they always been Mafia exclusives and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like, so when Sega Genesis came out, Konami was like, ooh. Yeah, let me slide over there real quick.
And when it comes to that, it's more like, hey, we can make a game for you, but we can't make it like Nintendo. We have to make it like a special edition for you. That's why we had a different Ninja Turtle game compared to Turtles in Time with
Hyperstone Heist.
To Contra.
Super Contra, or Contra 3 Alien Wars, and Contra Hardcore.
Yep. And then we also had from Castlevania, right?
Yes.
Castlevania 4.
Yeah, and then you had Castlevania, the New Generation, or Bloodlines, depending on where you were.
So, like, it was very interesting. I loved it. At that time.
By the way, Bloodlines is still hard as hell. I was trying to play it the other day. Still fucking hard as hell.
Yeah, do you think, who's easier to play with? Do you like Jonathan, or do you like the other guy?
I go with the whip. I just go with the whip.
Yeah.
It's not easier, but I'm just used to the whip. I don't want to use a spear.
And it's funny because, like, people might have forgot that is, like, the sequel to that game is Portrait of Ruins. Right, because his son continues his legacy.
And you love your Portrait of Ruin.
I know, man. I gave it a 10. But I just wanted to connect that because Bloodline actually, sadly enough, it was a hard game, but it was easier to get into compared to Super Castlevania.
And what's messed up is Super Castlevania was, out of the two, it was considered the easier game because it was just a remake of the original Castlevania. Mm-hmm. But it was considered the easier game. And it was because I could play through it, just like that. Mm-hmm. But
but Konami had a lot of properties, and surprisingly enough, other than your Metal Gear, your Castlevania, your Contra, your Silent Hill, before acquiring Hudson to get Bomberman, Adventure Islands, and whatnot,
Bonk is not whatnot.
But they did a lot of movies. They did a ton of properties of movies. in the 80s and 90s. You have to look them up. There's quite a list. But they also did a lot of based on cartoons. Like we said, Turtles. Turtles was a big thing for them, but then they saw they were kind of losing their steam a little bit during the PS2 time with the new generation of Turtles, and the Turtle games were not really that good anymore.
It wasn't. When you think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video games, 9 times out of 10 people are thinking of the Turtles in Time or the original NES one,
the arcade.
Well,
and the NES one. Yes.
I think arcade, it could be split 50-50 because I got the original NES one thinking, oh, it's like the arcade.
Bucky O'Hare, the one and done on the NES, and then of course you have the arcade.
Yes,
which you can check our control cabinet to watch that episode.
Yes, cabinet sessions, watch it.
Yep, and then we also had there was another cartoon one that they did. Oh, The Simpsons.
Still not properly released on consoles. I don't want to pay $500, $600 for an arcade cabinet. Release it on the consoles. I will pay $10, $15 for it. Just do it.
And then one of my favorite franchise, Tiny Toons. I thought the Tiny Toons series they did really well on the NES.
Buster Breaks Loose.
Breaks Loose, Buster, and the Hidden Treasure Island on the Sega.
And Montana Max something.
Yeah, they did a lot of Tiny Toon games, more than the Looney Toon games. They were more on the Tiny Toon games. And they played kind of like your traditional platforms like Mario, but, it's more goofy. I was a big Tiny Toon person growing up, so I easily attached that. But Konami really got the keys to a lot of franchise.
Yes.
And it's just insane.
Sunset Riders. Yeah, which that's not even necessarily French. They could easily bring that back if they wanted to.
And Snuffs, whatever the hell, the shoot 'em ups.
Oh, the shmups, yes.
Yeah. They did a lot of those. It's funny because Capcom was really known for their 2D side-scrolling platform styles, but when it came to diversity, they weren't really outshining Konami on that point to me.
No, where they lacked in diversity, they made up for in quality, though.
That's true. That's very true. Because Konami never had a fighting game at that time.
No.
They never compared. They never tried to compete with Street Fighter.
Tournament Fighters was a fighting game, but not really.
But we're talking about they're not using another franchise like Tournament Fighter with Turtles. They never competed them in that front, right? For the fighting thing.
No, why would they?
Right, but the same thing with Capcom. Capcom never went against them doing like a game like Metal Gear. They never done a tactical or like a espionage game at the time.
Yeah, no, it's. I would say that Capcom borrowed, or not borrowed, but Capcom and Konami did spur each other on, but they knew when to stay in their own lane. So, yeah.
Yeah. So why are we talking about Konami? Well, Konami has kind of announced for a while that they are going back into the gaming. Well, they're returning to the gaming business after many years of dealing with the pachinko machines.
Yeah, and doing collection re-releases kind of happen.
Yeah, and we saw that spark with the Castlevania collection, the Contra, the Gradius.
Yeah, the arcade classics or whatever.
Yeah, so that kind of maybe spoke to them a little bit. Like, is there something there still people want? But they were talking about.
Like, oh yeah, we got properties.
Yeah, but we do have. They talked about the main ones. They said they want to bring back Metal Gear. They want to bring back Castlevania. And we're back Silent Hill. And so, that's another thing. Capcom never really jumped into the horror genre.
Yeah, they didn't jump in until after, Capcom or Konami?
Capcom.
I mean,
Capcom never really. Well, Resident Evil. Yeah, but I'm talking about more of the. Sorry,
I was about to say, people were probably screaming. Like,
no. I guess I'm more of the like horror weird way, right? Silent Hill was more of a scary horror. Resident Evil was more the intense thriller to me personally. And people can argue that, but I say like Fatal Frame was a comparison to Silent Hill, which Capcom has. I think they published a couple of those games, but they didn't develop those.
I'm trying to remember. Aside from, well, no, you're not going to count Dino Crisis, but you could.
Yeah, I guess you could. I mean, but people here will probably compete silent. Really, it's tough because like if you want to compare Silent Hill to Resident Evil, go ahead. As a horror front, yes.
Yeah.
But as like gameplay, they were very different in their own way. Like Resident Evil really worked on the surprise aspect of trying to jump scare you.
Well, yeah, it's survival with like limited ammo.
And Silent Hill was working more of psychologically, mentally messing you up, making sounds that never exist in that area.
Yeah.
To like just stuff that come there and never come back again. They were just messing with your brain more.
Oh yeah, the plot of Silent Hill 2 and 3 alone were twisted. Not to mention Silent Hill The Room.
Yeah. So
it was
So those are the three they want to do. So what we're going to talk about is some of the things that they talked about with the main big ones, which we agree Metal Gear, Castlevania, and Silent Hill are probably the biggest franchises because they made the most money. And then we're going to talk about
Pro Evolution Soccer. Their sports.
Well, now it's changed to esports, but that's having issues right now. So we have no reason to talk about that right now because they're dealing with issues.
Because it's so trash.
Yeah,
now.
it's trash right now, and it's supposed to be free, so we're not. But that's another thing too. Capcom never really jumped into the sports section.
Yeah.
Not serious sports games.
And to make people feel better, yes, they did Pit Fighter in Japan. They licensed Pit Fighter in Japan for the arcades.
Yeah.
And X-Men and Lethal Enforcers and G.I. Joe.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about those, and then we're going to talk about some games that we think they should also bring back and focus on, and what ways that we like to see it. So let's go ahead and get to the first big one. I think out of all of them, the biggest one that it grew small. I feel like when it first started, it didn't get a head start very well, but it grew bigger as the time changed, and that's Metal Gear. Compared to Castlevania had a bigger lead in the NES going into the Super Nintendo. And
it was easier to access. It felt more accessible.
Yeah, Metal Gear started picking up more slack than them when the PS1 came out because there was no Metal Gear on the Super Nintendo.
No. I mean, you had Metal Gear, then you had the faux sequel, Snake's Revenge, and then you had the true Metal Gear 2, and then that was it.
Yeah. So it never made it through. It just didn't do enough to get, I guess, to them to bring it to a special edition for Super Nintendo. So it wasn't until PS1 where it left Nintendo. Konami decided to put it over there.
So many people left Nintendo. Oh my God, it was like a bad breakup.
Yeah, big move. But here's the funny part about it is that it did get bigger because Castlevania started kind of wonking a little bit. Yeah, you had Symphony of the Night, but from there, it just started getting wonky, from the Castlevania 64 games to...
The second one was actually decent. Second N64 Castlevania.
Yeah, because that at the time there was no such thing as patch. They had to just we have to bring a better edition out.
Screw it, re-release
it, right? And then you had the PS2 copies that were okay. You had your Limit of Innocence and your Curse of Darkness.
Yeah.
And then, but Metal Gear was just hitting their stride with Metal Gear 1, then 2, Sons of Liberty, then Snake Eater, and all that stuff. So I feel like Metal Gear overall has won compared to those two in the long run.
I mean, the PlayStation had the capacity for the cinematics that the creator at the time, or the leader at the time, Hideo Kojima, wanted to do for his Metal Gear project.
And that's the big one right there. This is going to be something interesting because now Kojima's no longer in the Konami field anymore. He's doing his own thing. So how are they going to do this? Well, we know that Metal Gear is not really going to get a new entry. So we know because the story kind of ended with 4, per se, story-wise.
4 and 5.
Well, 5 was Big Boss, so it happened before.
Yeah. You meant like canon-wise.
Like
chronologically.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. 4 is the last. It ended that story. So you can do a new story of Metal Gear if you wanted to, and just change and just have a new antagonist.
Raiden.
Yep.
I want ninja. I want ninjas.
Yeah,
tactical ninja action.
But they said Metal Gear 3 Remake is the first thing they want to do, and I feel like that's probably a good place to start. I mean, it's kind of the beginning of it all. We get Snake going to the training to know who he is.
Yeah.
Meeting the big boss
or the boss. Yeah,
for the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a good place to start. And especially this was all in the jungle, and you're dealing with the camouflage system of changing your outfit for everything. Then you had the most weirdest people in that game, the old man.
The Fury. Yeah, the Fury.
Whatever the one is, like kind of the water or the mist or dreamy. I forgot his name.
That was not the end. It was one of them that you had to go through, and for every enemy you killed, you actually had to avoid them in the path in the water.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
If you haven't played any of the Metal Gear Solid games, I mean, 1's a good place to start. 3's also a good place to start.
Yeah, so, and also, if they're going to do a remake, I think that game is going to look gorgeous because the fact that it's just all jungle and...
If it's a full remake, oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be the best looking one because every other Metal Gear has always been, city or just buildings, more urban.
Yeah, military complexes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Metal Gear Solid 1 was in a complex in Alaska. 2 was in 2 different... actually, I like the start of 2 on the tanker.
Yeah,
that was.
It's good. It's just that was a game when it first came out. It was so.
It's like holy crap.
No, it was a 180 because a lot of people were like they thought they were playing Snake, and then the rest of the game you're riding. So it was kind of a slap in the face. I mean, they accepted it, but at the same time, it was like, who is this guy? It was a risk taking idea,
right?
But that also showed that if they want to do a new Metal Gear from the ground up, just like a brand new series that. You could start a new protagonist and have a new antagonist and just continue.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Did you play Revengeance?
I haven't had a chance.
Okay, that's it's inexpensive PS3. That is a fun game
because of Platinum, right?
Well, I mean,
no, Platinum made it.
Yeah, no, I mean not just because of Platinum, but because of the fact that, well, probably because of Platinum, you had all the the slashing and the slide. It was a complete. Just turn from the sneaking around. Yeah. It was a complete turn from the sneaking around. It was fun. It didn't get enough respect at the time.
I think because if you ever watch What Happened, they did a fun, thorough thing about it, and they were talking about like Konami had a cool idea for it, but they didn't know what to do with it. Like, oh, this is cool. We could chop up everything, but like, what are we supposed to do with this? They just never thought about it, and they wasted too much time. Yeah. So Platinum Games took it, and they had to push back on some of the stuff you could cut because at the old model you could cut through anything, but then they had to change it up because it's like, well, if we want this game to run 60, then we're gonna have to cut a lot of this. Can't cut everything up. So, but yeah, Metal Gear Remake would be a great one to do. Now, the one other thing I would like to see 3 Remake is what are some of the tweaks could they fix? So my question for you is, what about the survival eating? Like, you kill to eat, they turn the rations, from eating snakes.
I'm not going to lie. They really don't need to change much in there unless they want to make it like have an adjustable difficulty slider to where you have to eat more often or you have to eat certain things. Because
there was a mo for that. Mo.
When I went through the game, I rarely had to worry about it. The most I had to worry about was patching yourself up because that was also the game where, depending on your injuries, you also had to patch yourself up to heal bones and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, your performance, your movement, and everything suffered. Your aim suffered. So, I think they don't have to do much with the snake eating part of Snake Eater, but the patching, you're patching yourself up and self first aid, keep it, but I guess make it a little clearer, make it a little bit more accessible. Okay. So, because there are people that are going to find some way to break the system. So, at least make it more accessible to the average Joe.
I think they can tweak a little bit on the eating. I think that it'd be cool if they have a little bit more options to eat for certain things, in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, snakes, frogs, rats.
Yeah. I mean, could you drink water?
I don't think they had any type of beverage.
Like, I guess you couldn't find like a little river or something to drink water.
No, I mean, that'd be a cool little addition, but as long as they don't make it necessary, yeah.
Yeah. Now, you were talking about that you would like to see a remaster of 1 and 2, or did you say you want a remake? And we're talking about the NES ones.
I want a remake of the first 2, and the actual real 2, the one Kojima was involved with, not the US 2. I would like a remake because of all the ideas that they were able to squeeze in there that you then later saw in Metal Gear Solid. But I will settle for a graphical remaster and proper localization because holy crap! If you remember the old meme, I feel asleep when this
Yeah.
old, they need to at the very least remaster.
So
it.
if they did a remake, do you want it in a 3D form or do you want it to keep it like a 2D?
I want it in a very polished, stylized 2.5D.
Okay.
Right. I think that's where it had its charm, and you can kind of recapture that whole not low tech, but retro style. You don't have to make it full 3D.
Okay. All right. This might split people's thoughts if you watch this later with us and whatnot. But I think now is the time to somehow get Twin Snakes to come out of the woodworks. Now, that's a huge split because I like Twin Snakes, and that was on the GameCube.
Yeah.
And I know I had a lot of debate because they said that due to the first-person view, it kind of broke the game for a lot of people because it made the game too easy in that aspect. Okay. But the reason why I wanted to be out because it is kind of a fun history lesson.
Yeah.
That belongs to be out there for people to try out, for better for worse for people, because they put a lot of work in there of the cutscenes being remade. The cutscenes are pretty awesome.
Oh, they look beautiful.
Yeah, and yes, maybe the game was a lot easier, but I think that helped welcome a lot new gamers into that time. What is Metal Gear Solid compared to the old one?
Yeah, and it was around the time Sons of Liberty was coming out, so. It's getting some more eyes on it, too.
No, it was a little bit after. Because remember, this is GameCube. This is exclusive to GameCube. And GameCube came out like a year after. Metal Gear, I think, came before. Son of Liberty came before, I want to say.
I think so.
We can ask our experts in comments. You could tell us when Son of Liberty came out.
What years. I mean, I know GameCube and PS2 competed. But
yeah, but I remember PS2 was a year ahead.
Yeah, PS2 came out in 2000, I believe. GameCube didn't come out until 2001, 2002?
Give or take. Yeah. It was almost the same year as Xbox.
Yeah, Xbox was 2001. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I know Twin Snake was not one of the early launch. It was kind of like in the middle of his years for that one. But give or take, I think Twin Snakes does need to come out because it has been locked on the GameCube for so long.
Yeah.
And would it ruin my value of my game that I have? Yes, but...
I don't... Yeah, I mean, but you don't care.
I don't care. I just think people should just have their hands on it because I honestly don't know what are the red tapes behind that and why is it not... Because I thought it was... I thought Nintendo published it and they're the one that's holding it back from doing anything. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mixture of Nintendo, Konami, and... I can't remember that team...
Silicon Knights.
Okay.
And due to their struggle... moving on to, with the Eternal Darkness that got their reputation.
Yeah.
And then they moved on, I believe. Weren't they the same people that did Too Human?
I don't know. I really don't want to believe they do something so horrible, but maybe.
Okay. I want to say they were part of that. So
yeah, that's don't get me started on Eternal Darkness. That's something that needs to come back. But that's a whole nother baby comeback. Mm-hmm. But I will say Twin Snakes would be interesting, and it is proof that Konami can successfully revisit storylines, like do remakes. But as David has mentioned, Kojima, it seemed to shine because Kojima was involved.
Well, I think he wasn't too hands-on, I heard. But one thing I do think they have to work on is taking out all the secret Nintendo stuff in the Twin Snakes, especially with Psycho Mantis, right? Because Psycho Mantis can read your memory card, and he said Smash Brothers and all that. So somehow they're going to have to take that out. Now, if they brought it back and made it exclusive to Switch...
Oh, goodness.
That would be awesome, but suck for everybody else that wanted to get their hands on it.
That would be a hell of a kind of a grab for Nintendo, but I don't know if Nintendo would. I don't know if Nintendo is that bloodthirsty,
especially if you can somehow add amiibos to it. I mean, why not? I mean,
they re-released the Solid Snake amiibo because they already did release it. They re-released the Solid Snake amiibo or a whole Metal Gear line of amiibos.
yeah.
I'd buy some.
Yeah. So, other than that, I mean, you're talking about remasters from the PSP editions. You're talking about 4, the last one on the PS3. Those can be.
I don't think 4. I think you should leave 4 alone.
I think 4 can come back. Now, remember, we had the collection. The collection came out towards the tail end of the
PS3,
era, yeah.
The Legacy Edition, which had all the NES Metal Gears.
I think a remaster would be fine for 4.
A remaster, sure.
Yeah, not a remake, but a remaster would be fine.
Yeah, polish things up.
It still holds up pretty well.
Polish things up, add some quality of life. But yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, quality of life, fast forward through some of the, try to fast forward through cinematics or something. Because
all Metal Gear games should have a fast forward button.
I swear, I fell asleep. I beat Metal Gear Solid 4. I fell asleep during the ending because the damn cinematics were so long.
Mm-hmm.
I remember falling asleep somewhere around the graveyard, the cemetery, and when I woke up, the credits were rolling. I was like, shit, what the hell happened?
Yeah. Yeah, they're very long scenes.
Yes, fast forward during cinematics, David.
Yes.
Because sometimes you not like fast forward, but you can just click and get to each new topic in the cinematic.
You can either hold the button to fast forward or press start and say, do you want to skip this scene? I don't care. It needs to have both of those options in there.
Yeah. Those last cutscenes were like an hour long. I got myself a solid nap.
So let's go ahead and move on to the next big franchise, and that would be the Castlevania. That would be the runner-up to that.
Oh, yeah.
So all they said about Castlevania, due to the fact that the big news a couple of weeks ago was the Advanced Collection came out for all of them, which surprised me because we were wrong on. We thought it was Nintendo exclusive, and it was actually coming out for the PS and the Xbox, I believe.
Yes,
and
which is, I mean, that's good. More people will play it.
Yeah, but it also shows that like Nintendo was, even though they published it, I guess like Konami still had the right to move it or something like that.
It may have like expired. It's like, okay, we have this right for this console or for these years. Yeah, but Castlevania Advanced Collection.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So I think that helped trigger a lot of people been wanting that, and I think this is what they were planning. Also bringing that up with the news. So their main quote they're talking about is reimagining Castlevania. So what do you think when they mean by reimagine, in your opinion?
Well, the first reimagine that came to mind was the Lords of Shadow, which it does look interesting. I am still curious about. I want to play through that. So if they reimagine it again, they may have to lean into the horror. They can still have action, but lean more into the horror. Because you have to think about it. This is Castlevania, Dracula, and not to mention the Netflix series that's highly successful. Mm-hmm. Dracula comes back. He has these creatures of the night. They can go gory. They, pull pieces of a vampire off, pull pieces of a monster off. They can go gory. They can go bloody. They can go suspense, and they can go horror. Silent Hill horror.
So do you want it to be darker?
I think it would not hurt if it was darker.
Okay.
You don't really have to change the story much, if not streamline it. But you can go darker. You can not like grim dark, not like Gears of War dark, but darker. Like it's gothic. Lean into that gothic. And I think if they go with a steady hand on that, it could actually be a hell of a revival. They could. I don't know. Well, to make my point, have you seen the Friday the 13th the reboot?
No.
Okay, well, in the Friday the 13th reboot, they squeeze in the first 3 original Friday the 13th movies, all in one plot.
Okay.
I think if they did that with a Castlevania game, if they did it right, you could squeeze in the first 3 Castlevania games. And with that, and I'm talking about a generational jump. Simon Belmont jumping, then the curse, Dracula's curse, or not Dracula's curse, I'm sorry, Simon's quest, and then Dracula's curse.
Simon's quest would be tough because that was the more exploring.
That was very more action RPG-ish, and it's a decent game. It just suffered from shit localization, but you could still, if you could package them all in as a large adventure, that would be a cool intergenerational adventure. Okay. I'd subscribe to that.
I think they should just remake the first one and just kind of expand on it a little bit more, connecting all the places together in a Metroidvania style. That'd be kind of cool because in the first one you had section to section, from the outside going into the castle to the dungeon areas, the red with the whole, like, I don't know what those chandelier spikes coming down from you, to what is it? I don't know what the area is, but the ones you fight the mummies in and all that. The twin mummies.
The treasure room or something.
Yeah, whatever. But to see that all connect would be pretty cool because they're in sections and there's still one castle, but you never. I would like to see like how the hell do you get there to there? They never show that. Oh, they show.
Yeah, the castle's always moving and shifting.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool because all you get really is the next part. They just show you the next spot and he just runs across the place. Remember, they were just here and he's like. That's like the sound. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool just to see like how you get to one point to another, either in the 2D form or in the 3D form. And I thought that'd be really cool to see what they would do with that.
But that's the thing. We already had a remake of the original Castlevania on the 16-bit console. If we're going towards a Metroidvania level, I mean, then you're essentially just getting Symphony of the Night, but with a different character.
Well, it's always been Symphony of the Night after that anyway. So what's the difference? I mean, ever since the Game Boy Advance and further on, it's always been the platform. This is the direction it was going.
Yeah, I mean, and I know Konami kind of has in a way their own little Metroid game with that, but I think they could benefit from something different. Like I'd split the difference with you. Maybe they do a couple of Castlevania games.
I think you have to ease it in. I think you have to ease it back in because you're bringing this to a new audience, and I think
they want Metroidvania.
I think that's what Symphony of the Night to me personally. Now there's a split. I'll give you this. I'll give you a split. There's a split of people that love the way Castlevania was before, and then people that love the Symphony of the Night style moved on. And the question is, which one's more popular?
I mean, Symphony of the Night captured you still felt side-scrolling, going and beating enemies. You know, you just
and more open, right?
Yeah, it was more open and exploratory, but it still had the base themes of Castlevania. You go from one side to the other. Sometimes you would go this way or that way, but it still had a lot of elements of platforming and a little puzzle solving.
Now, what you could do to get your cake and eat it too is if they used the platform of Simon's Quest, but each castle they went to was a little mini castle going into that stuff. Because most in Simon's Quest, you only go to the one castle and you just beat the boss and you move on. There's just one boss. But if they can do it where these castles are big that you go into and your journey to get to the next castle, to find Dracula will be kind of cool. Then you get your highlight bosses in each one.
Simon's Quest did have multiple castles and multiple bosses.
Yeah, no, they only had one boss, really. It was just a hell of a quest to get to that boss.
Oh, they had Carmilla. They had Death.
Yeah, but there were I swear there were only one to each castle. There was never just two of them because you have to defeat one to get to the one item and then you move on.
Well, yeah. I misunderstood. I thought you were saying that there was only one boss. Like, no, there was multiple castles.
I mean for each castle there's one boss because you had the remember you had the talking glowing head whatever.
That was supposed to be Carmilla.
Yeah. So you had one, but I'm talking about for this idea is you have multiple bosses in these castles. Let's say 3 castles.
Okay.
And you're searching for Dracula. So this is the first castle. It was fake. Second castle could be a fake. This one is the real one. To get the secret ending. So you get your cake and eat it too. That's why you get your Medusa. You get your Grand Reaper. You get your Wolfman. You get your mummies. You get
your Frankensteins.
Yeah. You can get my favorite one, the ball of dead bodies that you have to hack over and then they fall. You know what I'm talking about. And there's a monster in between shooting lasers.
I mean, they could do a lot with that. The kicker is, if they do it dark, they can't have those castles overstay their welcome. I would say, because if you're figuring out and going through each one, I wouldn't want to spend more than 30 minutes to an hour in each castle.
Sure, why not?
I'd want to have a larger exploration around it, but I don't know. I how much did you ever play Rondo of Blood?
That's the only one I never played. I played every Castlevania game except that one.
That one had a very interesting take. It did go a darker route, and it had, the anime cutscenes notwithstanding. It did go a darker route and it did have splitting paths. And to get certain endings, you have to rescue everybody and then make it all the way to the end. So I think they brought an element of that back. That could be nice,
a good question because... That's a good way to think about it because what about other characters being in this? Like, most of the time it's just you and your whip. So could we have other characters that could rearrange the story a little bit?
I mean, Maria. You could bring Maria back or reintroduce Maria. Mm-hmm. You could...
because another question I would ask you is...
They'd be calling for auto cards.
Well, I'm saying, would you maybe want to make a Belmont... Give a Belmont... a unisex name, so maybe if you want to become a male or female.
I mean,
Hunter?
Possible. But then again, if we're rebooting the entire timeline, so we can have it our cake and eat it too. Mm-hmm. So go back to my intergenerational idea. You know, you could have 3 acts to the game. Each act could be a different generation, or the first 2 acts is one generation, and the third act is this other generation. Really craft that epic of Dracula is an ever-present curse.
I can give you that, and they did that idea on the 3DS one, mm-hmm. where you play different Belmonts on those. The problem I have with that one is I'm more been a fan of just sticking with one hero, only because I like to hang out with that character for a long time and level that character up and do all these ideas and build up for him, and then hand them off to another character I'm not a fan of. That's just me personally.
Yeah, and maybe I'm influenced because I've been watching some JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I like JoJo's Bizarre too,
but
they have an open and ending story though too. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like it's same thing with Castlevania.
JoJo, it could just do Castlevania. JoJo's Castlevania.
I mean, no, that's what it is, right? You're basically hitting the nail on the head. I mean. It's basically Dracula, his own interpretation of Dracula per se in that example. Yeah, so basically that's what Castlevania is. But your idea for that is, man, that'd be a long game. That'd be a long game doing that if you're going to do that.
I mean, nobody would complain. Or if it's too long.
Konami would.
If it's too long, split it up.
DLC, that's where you get your DLC and episodics.
We know Konami's going to do it anyway. We know Konami's going to do it anyway. Okay. So I mean... There's a lot they could do with Castlevania, but you know the cynic in me is like, oh, there's
now which one would you like to see a remake from if they did remake one?
Just because I want to put it to bed or put a stake in its heart. I want a remake of Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest.
Okay.
Because I want to see what they originally were trying to do, and I want to see it with as it was intended, without needing a weird Nintendo Power Guide. Or them sending you a guide because there's no way you were finding your way through the damn game without it.
True that.
I would like to see what they could do with that because it would get your going to different areas. It would get your getting different abilities. They could add that in there. Puzzle solving. It had a day-night cycle with different enemies or stronger enemies. Yeah, and visiting different towns and meeting different people. It had a lot of stuff in there. Kind of like Zelda 2. It deviated so far from what established as a classic. But I would like to see it done right. I mean, on a complete side note, I'd love to see a remake of Zelda 2: Adventure of Link.
Oh, man, what scares me is that soundtrack. I don't want to mess with that soundtrack, but sometimes when you remake, they like to remix it. So
if you lean
that soundtrack is
banging into the gothic, then it'll be fine. I mean, because Castlevania 2 is also where we got Bloody Tears.
I know, but all the songs are bangers.
Yeah, I mean, still had Vampire Hunter and or Vampire Killer from the first one, but Bloody Tears, the one that's like that iconic song, like that was the iconic song. That was Simon's Quest. A lot of people don't realize that first came out in Simon's Quest. Woo, I'm sweating like a whore in church.
I am sorry,
but it's all good. I'm glad I didn't wear my hoodie like I was originally planning. That was going to be bad. But yeah, I would like to see that. I would like to see Simon's Quest.
So oddball for me, it'll probably never happen, but I think that it had a lot of potential. But I think Curse of Darkness would have been a good remake to do for the PS2. The whole Isaac in that one is basically like kind of like a monster maker.
Yeah, he's a forge master.
And he always has a companion. And I always like the idea of you can make all these kind of characters. The problem is with the game, it was very limited of how many creatures you can do.
Yeah,
and I think they should just open that bag wide open and just let us have fun with it. I
mean, we've had games that came out on the PS2 and Xbox or Xbox 360 and the PS2 that had dozens of characters on screen at once, like Dead Rising. You could
Konami, not on PS2, but yeah, I get
well on Xbox 360. Yeah. But those generations, you could easily find a way to put that together.
Yeah, because I think in Curse of Darkness you can even get up to 2 people accompanying you. The only problem is it's just all the enemies were very sparse.
Yeah.
So they don't jam up the game and crap. So doing it that way would be awesome because so many combos you can do, and then teamwork with your partners and stuff, that'd be awesome.
People would immediately be comparing it to Isaac from the Netflix series because he was a badass and he was just like, all right, I have my army, take the town.
Yeah, why not? I don't care.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of the Necromancer in Diablo 2 or Diablo 2 Remastered. You just, okay, I have about 3 or 4 skeletal mages, a golem, and that. All right, go. You know, and they just immediately attack the enemies nearest and just go at it. Yeah. It's funny. I've heard of the game. It's in my backlog. So, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah, it because now the way it is, it can get repetitive very quickly. But so you have to kind of just go in there with an open mind.
Okay.
Like
all right.
Yeah, I actually want to go back and replay it again. Just look at some other things they could tweak and have fun with. Because I liked it for what it was. It's same thing with Limited Instance. Limited Instance is up there too.
Yeah, I heard. I mean, I'm not saying they were companion games, but they were both.
They were still the same style video game. Like the fighting combat is exactly like the same. The difference is, Isaac doesn't do whips.
No.
So.
No. And because I think I have Curse of Darkness on the Xbox and Lament of Innocence on the PS2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that, and you could probably tell, I think my favorite Konami series of all time is Castlevania. I don't know about you.
Oh man, it's going to be a mix between Contra for my easy pick up and play and Metal Gear.
Okay.
Because of how much time I've invested in the Metal Gear Solid series.
Mm-hmm.
But Castlevania is up there because it's one of those, once again, if I feel like just pissing myself off, I'll play a Castlevania game.
Yeah.
Or a classic Castlevania game. Newer Castlevania games, much more forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So
the last big one is PT. I'm just kidding. It's Silent Hill.
Silent Hills.
Silent Hills. Yeah, Silent Hill. I never got really into Silent Hill. I always watched somebody play it. Shout out to John Robles when he got the second one. I played that with him. But even from that to The Room to 3, I never actually literally played one and beat one. But man, the times that I watched somebody play, it was just like I was more scared of that game than Resident Evil.
Yeah, and I mean the atmosphere, the fact that they found a way to use the fog to not only hide limitations but also add to the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And I only played 1. I've seen 2 and 3 played and seen 4. Shout out to Brandy. I know you have to crack into that Silent Hill for The Room. But I remember I rented Silent Hill a long time ago, or around the time it came out. What was that, 97, 98?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And I couldn't get into it. The games, survival horror games like that and Resident Evil, I just didn't have the patience for at the time. I was like, okay, I'm doing this. Oh, why are these burning babies killing me? Oh, okay, I'm dead. Now I wake up and there's this cop, and then I go back out into Silent Hill and I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and this is creeping me out, and this isn't controlling the way I want it to. I'm done. Let's take this back to Blockbuster. So, yeah, let's take this back to Blockbuster. I'm going to run another platformer. I wouldn't want to give it another shot because my game palette has evolved.
Mm-hmm.
But
now they said here they have
make the pacing a lot better.
Now they said here they have multiple Silent Hill games, which multiple can mean 3.
Yeah,
of all we know.
That could mean just 2.
My question of you is, due to the PT game, do you think they're going to pick that direction up again in a different way? Are we going to see a first-person style? Now, The Room kind of hinted a little bit, but only in the... Yeah, I think The Room is the only one that was kind of like the first person, right?
Only in The Room.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they could, especially seeing the success of Resident Evil 7 and 8. They could do that. The thing is, if they approach it, they need to approach it with the level of polish of Resident Evil 7 and 8. Because let's be honest, even in the PlayStation era, the Resident Evil games were more polished than Silent Hill games.
Mm-hmm.
They just were. Silent Hill had great story. Resident Evil had story and polish. So if they go that route, if they stay with the first person, I want the polish of Resident Evil 7 and 8. I'm spoiled. Like 8, especially 8. 8 spoiled the hell out of me as far as what a first person kind of survival, kind of action horror could do.
Okay. I think that it could look really good up a par of a Resident Evil 8 to me, especially if they use that as the main one, and the other games could be just small games. Like multiple games to me like that could be like, oh, there's a small game coming on the phone. There could be a small game coming here and there. It could be a collection of stuff. But for a main new one to come in there, I hope they nail the survival horror very well, where it's scarce. Because one thing that stood out as Silent Hill to me, to Resident Evil, to me personally, was guns were scarce. It was melee weapons everywhere. That's what you had to get up close to monsters or run away.
And the collision detection wasn't always that great, so you could bash and completely miss, or the way the monster was programmed, they'll hit you before you can even get your backswing in with the pipe.
Yeah, and I think they really need to work on that, but also too the world changing. Resident Evil did a good job of the environment, the atmosphere. But Resident Evil was really good of making stuff change. And I guess I'm spoiled because the movies did a good job of the change, where the time, like the town switches between the times. Like in the daytime is nice, but at a certain time on the clock, everything just shifts. Everything starts decaying. Everything's getting gross.
Oh,
and I would love to see that in gameplay, as it's the day and night cycle.
Especially if they enhanced it in Silent Hill, because when the sirens or whatever,
and
the ash, that actually, they could really dig into the creep. Like, imagine seeing a Silent Hill game with the graphical power and polish of a PS5 or Xbox Series or modern PC. They could really get into the creepy polish. Hell, go extra ham on it on the PC, and maybe the PS5 if they eventually do it. A VR version.
Yeah. And also, too, I think it would be kind of cool if they can take advantage of throwing people off on the day and night cycle of what monsters appear during that day.
Have that dread.
Yeah. So, like, for instance, like, I don't know. I'll just throw an example. Maybe you walk down a street or you walk in a hallway and you see a bunch of nurses. You've seen the famous scene with the dead nurses.
Yeah, I've seen both movies.
Yeah. What happens? What would be cool if they only come alive at night? So in the daytime, they're just there or something like that. Just for example of that.
I would say they're alive either way. Daytime, they're a little slower. But night,
sure, why not? But even like maybe more spirits come out. Maybe the pyramid guy comes out more. He's more vicious in nighttime, but in the daytime, he's a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot they could play, especially if they're re-envisioning it. They could re-envision, remake, retell the whole Silent Hill saga, because eventually, aside from Silent Hill 1 and 3, I think, and every other story was kind of an anthological.
Yeah, it was family. It was about the family.
Yeah, I mean, there was different connections. Like, there are different characters that had connections to the town, and in some of the games, the town ended up being someone's form of hell, their personal hell.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There's a lot that they could do with that.
Because their design for those monsters were way psycho looking.
Yeah, the nurses, that was an idea. I can't remember the designer's name, but she contributed to that at Konami, and the nurses by itself was freaky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what they captured it perfectly in the movie.
Yeah. Or how awesome would it be is people that you're in the game, they change through the day and night. That you meet people in the town, and if you kill them, they're no longer to exist in the game or something like that. I don't know. It's just something. I just want something off the wall and just catch me sideways.
You want some curveballs.
Yeah.
Because if you're remaking a series, people who are fans of the series already kind of know what to expect. You want curveballs. Resident Evil 2 Remake threw people some curveballs. And Mr. X pursuing you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I understand that. I can understand that.
Yeah, and also I think the very last thing I would like to see is just the list of melee weapons that are optional that you can scrounge and find.
Don't do that durability bullshit either. I mean, at least make it reasonable. Like, if you're bashing like a pyramid head with a pipe, the pipe's going to get a little scuffed and damaged. But don't make it where it's like, all right, I got 8 swings with this thing and it's broken.
I'll give you that.
So, who knows? Maybe improvised weapons. Like, there's a board on the floor. All right. Well,
because the one thing it took about PT was PT had a good experience. The problem is it took too long to figure out stuff.
Yeah, because it was. I mean, I never did figure it out.
I had to cheat.
Aside from the chick that if you turn around at the wrong time, she gets you and you got to start over.
Yeah. Yeah, so don't make it overly difficult in that way. But yeah, I wouldn't mind because one of the things was big about the game was the sound. Like, take advantage of sound again.
Yeah, especially people who wear headphones or who have a good sound system. Like creep.
Yeah, like
I want to be creeped out. I could be scared anywhere. I want to be creeped out.
It's almost like they should make your character that has psychological problems, and her mind plays with her. Like, she sees something that's not there, and then you question it. Like, was that really what I saw? Or was it?
Well, taking that, I'm throwing this question to you. What was the last game that not necessarily scared you or startled you like they do with jump scares, but actually creeped you out? Like, made your hair stand on end, made your skin crawl, just kind of made you shift uncomfortably in your chair and kind of occasionally you wonder if you saw a shadow out of the corner. That creeped you out. That kind of game.
Probably Dead Space was probably up there when I first started playing Dead Space. It was creepy because you didn't know how to kill them, and they would come out of nowhere. That's the thing, though. Like it's almost like they made their own schedule to come to you. It wasn't a set piece. They just come whenever they wanted to come.
Okay. Yeah, so somehow Silent Hill needs to capture, and I guess, I don't know, take a page out of Left 4 Dead and Back 4 Blood's AI director, but don't have the same set pieces, each time. Different stuff depending on your performance. The game may get harder or easier, you don't know. You turn a corner, same corner if you play this game, but a bunch of times you turn a corner, something scary there, the startle, but also something to just kind of creep you out. You see things out of the corner of your eye. I would like more of that atmospheric creep factor, but not so by the numbers where I'm seeing speedrunners on Twitch within a week already point stuff out. I don't need that. All right, you turn this corner here, it's going to make scary. All right, you're doing here, you're doing here, you're doing here. All right, I'm going to beat this boss pipe only. Bam, 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 circle around, bam, bam, bam.
Right.
I know some of that is unavoidable, but I want a little bit more atmosphere in there.
Okay. So for the people that are watching or enjoying our content, please leave a comment down below and tell us what you like to see out of the big three that they're going to bring back. That is Metal Gear, Castlevania, and Silent Hill. Now let's get into the ones that kind of had a bit of a spark through the years when they first started. That is Konami, and why they should come back and which way they should come back. So
I got my list in my head right here.
Yeah, but we'll go here, and you could, if I forgot any more on this list, you just let me know. Snatcher. So Snatcher was a PC game a while back. It's only been ported really on the PC only. It was Sega CD. That's right. It was more of a point and click game followed by a shooting gallery.
Yes, Hideo Kojima.
Yeah. So basically, it was his rendition of Blade Runner. It was really, that's what it was. You know,
it was good too. It was good.
Yeah. I would love. Now, we did this in our World Gaming Trade Show, one of our early episodes of that game coming back, which you should definitely check out, that I do with my boy Brando from Game Addict Podcast. I said that I would love it to be. Now, this is cyberpunk, that I would love a kind of like a sandbox kind of game, or maybe not so much a sandbox, but more of a 3D kind of investigation kind of game where you're, kind of a noirish, but I would love to see it more in a 3D form, that you're still kind of finding clues and stuff like that.
I think you dig if it was in the form of Until Dawn or the Dark Anthology games.
Sure, why not?
But with a cyberpunk slant. That could be interesting because it's very character-based, choices-based, and investigation-based.
So basically Quantum Dream, you would like a Quantum Dream style.
Oh, Detroit Become Human, but more...
It could be. Yeah. I'm not wondering. You're talking about like story, but like, do you hurry up and make certain choices in time?
Yes, that slipped my mind. Detroit Become Human, but with cyberpunk Snatcher.
Sure. Why not? Sure. And
bonus game, you get the original Snatcher you can unlock.
Or just like, I like Heavy Rain or stuff, like the choices you make continues the story on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think it'd be cool to see, but I want it to be focused on the main person. I don't want to see it from a different point of views like Quantum does. Quantum mostly show you from different point of views and stuff, except for the middle one between Heavy Rain and Detroit. I forgot what the game is.
Oh crap!
It's like it was you and the spirit.
Oh, Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah, not that one. So
that was a missed opportunity. Beyond Two Souls was just a missed opportunity. But yeah, I mean, I could dig that. I could dig Snatch. I mean, I've only heard of Snatcher and heard about it and heard Sega CD and it's effing hard to near impossible to find. It's expensive as hell. But that would be an interesting one if they find a way to bring it back. They find the source code and just remaster it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Well, I think remaster would still make the game very boring because it was still a very heavy text read, and I think it easily turned off. And especially
so Police Knots.
Yeah, and I'm not recommending Police Knots should get the same treatment. I think both of them. To me, point and click games, bore the hell out of me. I have to really be invested. That's why I never really got in like King's Quest.
Yeah, King's Quest
or Monkey Island.
Monkey Island.
I just never got into those.
Sam and Max.
Yeah, I really more of like hands-on, more of an action-based figuring stuff out, clues, putting them together.
What made those work too was the like Leisure Suit Larry's the clever writing and the clever dialogue between characters. That's what drove it on you. Solve puzzle, onto the next bit of story.
The funny part is partner was MK2 from the Metal Gear series. It's this little robot that you probably can compare it to 4, like a little robot that follows you around.
Oh, actually, I think it was like a mixture of 4 and what inspired Metal Gear Solid, the Metal Gear.
Mm-hmm.
Metal Gear.
Yeah, so Snatcher definitely up there. Goemon. Now this game has been popular more in Japan, but it did get a lot of entries over here in America. Same with Mystical Ninja on the Super Nintendo. Then you got Goemon 64.
And then Goemon's Great Adventure.
Yeah. And then it kind of just stopped. And Mystical Ninja was one of my jams. That's the reason why I continued it. And I think Goemon would be a good chance to come back in a different way. A new form, a remake. Because, it's Goemon, but in America, it's Kid Yang.
Yeah, well, that was only Legend of Mystical Ninja.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And I think it'd be a fun hit if they did Goemon.
Dr. Yang and Kid Yang.
Yeah, I think it'd be funny if they brought it back and call it Goemon, the Legend of the Mystical Ninjas or something like that. Just kind of both worlds put together.
It would be a good throwback. I don't know if it would have a place unless they made the gameplay loop very engaging.
The question is, though, do we want it back to the beat 'em up style adventure, or do we want it the 3D way like 64? I'll tell you what, I am not doing that robot boxing round. I hated that fight. I never beat that fight.
That was not fun.
No, I never beat the game because of that fight.
You would have liked the Goemon's Great Adventure a little bit more because it was more platforming, 3D and platforming with with combat and multiple characters and 2-player mode, like it was like Legend of Mystical Ninja was.
Yeah.
I honestly, if they do that, it would probably be good as a 2.5D.
Okay.
Because if you're bringing, especially if it's the first one you're bringing back after a while, you should either bring a franchise back with a 2.5D kind of spiritual or soft reboot, or remaster the original stuff and get people to fall in love with it again, and then bring the new shit out.
Yeah. That's a tough one because it has been over 20 years since we had one back in America. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head if many more have came back in Japan.
Yeah, Great Adventure. N64 came out in 96. Goemon 64 was like 97, 98. Great Adventure was like 99.
The most popular, I would say the 64 was the most popular spot for Goemon since they only had 2 entries in there.
Yeah.
And it also introduced 2 new characters, I think. Well, at least one character, the girl. I remember the girl in there. She would have been a ninja.
I can't remember.
Shadow Blaze or something like that.
I can't remember her name, but yes, I do remember. She
had green hair, I believe.
Yes, green hair. Interesting bit of trivia. The box art for Legend of Mystical Ninja, the guy who did the box art, Tom Dubois, he's the same person who did the box art for a lot of Konami games in the 80s and early 90s.
He's good.
The Contra games, Castlevania games,
he's
all
good.
that stuff. Yes, he's very good. He's very, very, very good. I would buy his artwork.
So speaking of that, let's go into your baby, and that is Contra. So we already know Rogue Corp was not your jam. Not a lot of people's jam. And yet, that was the last one. And that's the reason why I think they didn't add it on this list of the next 3, because Rogue Corp was the last entry they have.
They saw how much of an egg they laid.
So
with it.
what do you personally need Contra to bring back?
I needed
the fandom.
I need it to be like Contra 4 on the DS.
Okay.
I need it to be tough as nails. It's fair, but it's tough as nails. Everybody's going on, about, Dark Souls, bite me. Contra, Super Contra, Contra Hardcore, Contra 4. Then come talk to me. Or Shattered Soldier even. Then come talk to me.
Screw Shatter.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's where it gets insane. If they can bring back that running gun, because Contra 4 was kind of like a celebration of Contra, because it had Mad Dog, it had Scorpion, it had Lance Bean, and the other guy. It had different versions of those guys, and then you would run through and it introduce you like it was the first Contra level, but you have grapple function. You could go up to the top part of the screen, drop back down. Enemies could come from either side, and you had to, position yourself. That was fun. The thing is, with Contra games, though, they can't overstay their welcome. You get about, like the original Contra had about 7-8 levels. Contra 3 had about 7 or 8 levels, depending on the difficulty, to get the true ending. Hardcore had, I think, 5 or 6, something like that. It can't overstay its welcome. So if they do remake it or bring that franchise back properly, they can't give it the AAA treatment.
Okay.
And don't try and morph it. Oh my God! Don't try and morph into some 3D GTA over the shoulder.
So no mercenaries. Got it.
No mercenaries. No rogue core. Well, rogue core would have worked if they did not make the gameplay loop like they did. So it needs to be a bite-sized game. It needs to be you can beat it in a few hours.
Okay.
You can beat it in a few hours, but there's still more to master.
Okay. I just think they just got to make sure the weapons are really fun.
Well, yeah, that's the part where there's more to master.
Yeah.
I mean, people who like to achievement hunt or whatever the hell could get through the game with nothing but the pea shooter. Or get the spread gun or whatever gun and never lose it. Keep it throughout the entire game or anything like that. They could have a lot of fun with that. Get different outfits, different characters, different outfits and characters, different types of weapons. You have the laser, the fireball, the homing missiles from Contra 3, the crash missiles.
Now, the one I think would be really fun, I don't know if it's possible or not, I would love if they did a 2-player 4-player mode, but it's co-op race. So basically what happened is, if you can go online and you can compete, let's say you and me against 2 other people, and you guys are competing who can beat a level quicker or something like that. But the other
higher score.
Yeah. But when we play it in our view, we see the ghost of them, so we see them going through it as a ghost.
Yeah,
but it'd be kind of cool to see a race
where you're not encountering the same enemies in the same spots.
Yeah. I thought that'd be kind of cool for a cool co-op race and high score chasing and stuff like that.
Yeah, they could definitely bring the competitive aspect. Whether companies admit it or not, some of the games they make, they also try and cater to the streamer crowd. So, bam, there you go.
Yeah.
You get your streamer, you get your Twitch rivals or whatever like that. Shroud versus Choco Taco or whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. That'd be kind of fun.
It would. I like that idea. It would add a replay aspect to it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rocket Knight. That's a deep cut.
Yeah, that's going back. Mr. Sparkster.
Yeah, we talked about in the last episode of being a competitor for Smash Brothers, but he was just not quite made the cut. But he is mentioned here. Rocket Knight, the last entry we had was Rocket Knight Returns on the Xbox 360 and the PS3. So it has been more than 10 years. I think it's time for Rocket Knight to come back. I think that he still needs to be 2D. I think that they just need to go a little bit more top with it. I think they play too safe on the return. I think they just need to do a little more fun stuff with it. Now, if they
remaster and release a collection.
Sure, if they want to, but I don't know if I want a collection. I think if they remade them all, that'd be kind of cool in a collection.
I mean, yeah, they could remake them, but with Rocket Knight, I don't know. If we're talking about pie in the sky, have what we want, sure, remake it, and then the next year release the new
If you
title.
want a pie in the sky for me, I want it to be 3D. I think they could pull off the 3D and make it a fun platform.
That'd be. I mean, at this point, there is no excuse for not being able to pull off a 3D platformer. Yeah, there's no excuse
Because if they can do it right, they can adjust how you can rocket through the level and everything like that. Because in the main game, all he does is go forward, and then he just bounces. And he just bounces off whatever happens next. I think you can do that, especially him being a possum, or is he an armadillo? I forget.
A possum.
Because
he hangs by that tail.
Yeah. There's abilities you can use to hang on that. I thought that'd be really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, the sword aspect. What reminds me of Rocket Knight when I played Tomba. If you can even add some of that aspect that Metroidvania /
I was gonna say, I think Rocket Knight can do a Metroidvania style if they do it right.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, Konami is just going to be the house of Metroidvania games.
Why not? Well, it'll be only that one in Castlevania, but yeah, sure. But I always liked that game. The first one was a little easier than the second one, but there's something there to me. Adventure Island. Adventure Island is a deep cut for me. That's one of my hidden dream games. So that was my jam. Adventure 1, 2, and 3. Because people forget that Konami owns Hudson. You remind me of that. Hence, we'll be talking about your last cut before we got to wrap this shut. Yeah, but Adventure Island, I think, that's Bonk with hair. I'm just kidding, but it's
Master Higgins.
It's a level to level. It hit its stride, but it ended in Super Nintendo with Adventure Island 2.
I thought it was Super Adventure Island.
Super Adventure Island 2 is where it ended. I apologize. Okay. Yeah, that's where it ended. And I thought it had a lot of potential. I think they should just remaster the first one. Just kind of remake it, but just make it nice and 2D. Ride your dinosaurs.
It was one of those things like you get hit once, that was your ass.
You got hit. No, you get hit. I think it was 2 times.
And you had to constantly eat fruit to keep your hunger meter up or whatever.
That's the first one. In the second one, it kind of changed a little bit, especially later. It was more time. You had to hurry and beat it in time. But that's where you got more protection. I think that's what they did. They fixed it with more protection of not only that you got your dinosaur, but your dinosaur helped you out for armor. If you lost that was their equivalent of like Mario being small, big, whatever.
Yeah.
The dinosaurs were there for that occasion. It was kind of cool from a pterodactyl from Dragon and expand on that. And in the Super Nintendo one, they went back to the roots with Super Adventure Island like the first one. But in the second one, it became an adventure? You're traveling to island and defeating monsters. It was kind of like a Zelda 2 style. You're going from exploring places, upgrade armor.
Okay, so it was like Joe and Mac 2 and stuff like that.
Kinda, but it wasn't level to level. Well, was Joe and Mac level to level still?
Joe and Mac was level to level. Joe and Mac 2 was a little bit more RPG adventure.
Okay, then that's what Adventure
it's like
Island
action RPG.
I would like Adventure Island to either pick that way or the original way, like the first one.
And don't be afraid of just doing a side-scrolling game. Not everything has to be 3D. I'd be happy with a solid side-scroller as long as it was done right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Now we'll get to the last one here because we don't have too much time. Because we could have talked about Super Bomberman. We could have talked about Zone of Inners. We could have talked about a Konami arcade collection. But
Bomberman, I'll just put this one sentence. All you need for Bomberman to be successful is do like a Bomberman 35 or Bomberman 99 or whatever.
Yeah,
like that.
Like a battle royale. Like
done.
That. Yep.
Yeah, done. There's your battle royale game, Konami. Done.
Right. Watch that happen. That's probably the easiest banger money right there.
Easy as hell.
Yep, they can call it Super Bomberman B. So BR, Super Bomberman BR. Bunk. This is the one that you love this series. Like you fought for it for Smash Brothers. You love this series.
I don't know if I love the series so much as I love the idea of it because I played the first couple of Bonk games and it's a fun platformer. You would get a kick out of it.
I played a couple.
Yeah,
I played a couple.
I mean, even like the power ups, the silliness. That's what gets me. The silliness. You know, of course he's a caveman boy with a big ass head. You know, and he just jumps, and when he tilts his head down, he just falls faster. You know, and he bounces on various enemies, and it was a mixture of the character design, the power ups, and that's what made that platformer stick out. That's what made it stick out more than Keith Courage or whatever the hell, you know. And the fact that, you know, you had Air Zonk and all the spin-offs, and Bonk expanded with he had Bonk and Friends and all that.
Bonk and Friends is a terrible title.
That could have been an interesting cartoon. It could have been a cartoon, man.
Mm-hmm. It was ahead of its time.
Oh, goodness. Yes.
Ha!
Bah. But yeah, I would like to see Bonk. It doesn't have to be anything big. It could be a remaster. It could be a collection. They have the rights to. They could just do a re-release of like all the Bonk games.
Those games would look really good going 60 frames per second because it is a run in.
It's a platform.
Run platform game.
Yeah, so, especially you remaster, make it look nice and pretty on modern displays. You know, because there are people who struggle to mod their turbo graphics or whatever the hell to show those pretty sprites. You remaster it and do it right. Bam, there you go. You can make a whole new generation fall in love with Bonk. It's like, yeah, we got Shantae, but have you played Bonk?
Yeah.
Have you headbutted people?
I don't know what I really want for Bonk. I played some, but I never really played enough to put my hands on it. I guess maybe just better abilities that Bonk can use with his head or something like that.
I mean, yeah, Mario Brothers almost always innovates on power-ups. I mean, obviously, Fire Flower, Ice Flower, Acorn, you know, the Karibo shoe, the Tanuki suit, the cat suit, you know, bunny suit. Bonk could do. Bonk went off of things that he ate. So if he ate some peppers, you can see him turn red and he's running faster and spitting fire. He's like, it's hot. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe he eats some ice cream and he's relaxed. Maybe he eats, you know, I don't know. A lot of the powers could lean into him eating stuff and him maybe give everybody a dinosaur. Everybody gets a dinosaur. Adventure partner. Island gets a dinosaur. You know, Bonk gets a dinosaur.
Sure.
Get the hell with it. Everybody gets a dinosaur.
Okay. All right, with this wrapping up, is there anything that you want to make sure I know, honestly, you're probably a bigger Konami fan than me. I like Konami, but I know you're more of a fan of it. What do
a lot
you...
of good memories, yeah.
So what do you personally hope that Konami success on coming back like this?
I hope Konami's success isn't even any particular game. I hope it's consistency.
Okay.
I would like consistency. With consistency will come the success for all those games we were talking about. You know, honestly, it would be great. Won't happen. Arcade like Capcom's beat 'em up bundle.
I was thinking about that. Yep.
Konami's
they got enough over there.
They more than enough. They got more than enough.
But we know that certain titles probably won't make it due to licensing, like the Turtle games.
They could work something out.
Hopefully.
I mean, if they really wanted to, they could work something out. It's like, hey, Turtles in Time, Simpsons, X-Men. You know, they could talk to Marvel, Disney, whatever, get rights. X-Men, freaking, you know, Sunset Riders, Bucky O'Hare. Just those 5 right there. Put them in a beat 'em up bundle. You can play online with friends or on the couch. Done. Easy seller. Mm-hmm. Easy seller. You'd pay $30 for that.
Sure, why not?
I would, and it beats the hell out of $600 for an arcade 1-up.
Yeah. So, my only thing is if Konami's coming back, then make me feel like you came back.
Yeah.
And stick with it a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, hell, the classic, not the original, but you remember on Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, when the Konami screen came up.
I miss that logo. That's one thing. Like, you come back, bring that logo back. I don't like this new logo. It's the same thing with that Namco did now. They changed their logo. I'm like, this ain't better.
They're changing it again, dude.
Yeah, they ain't.
Bandai Namco.
Yeah, it ain't better.
Yeah, I mean, even Capcom at least kept the same font shape and everything. Yeah. I still remember the...
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, recapture our youth. Grab us by the nostalgia nuts and pull us in.
As you know, this is part of the In-Game Boss Program network of gaming and other variety shows. So please check out all our great content. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you like what we have here, please check out everything and subscribe. We would love to have you on there. Let us know that you enjoy what we do. And so, if you want to find me personally, you can always find this network on Facebook and Twitter. On Twitter, you can find us at Program In. But if you want to find me personally on my own, I am RetroAmp07.
And if you want to find me, I am at the Grumpy Bear 84. I am not accepting sponsors at this time.
And with that, thank you so much, and we will catch you on our next episode. Stage clear. Let's go.
Insert coin, new high score.